All right. I'm looking at you guys' background, and I think I want Mr. McEwen's room to do my meditation class.
Thank you.
It's very nice. Looks like makes you look smart. With the books in the back, but it's not too many. Like mine's just too many, so it's a distraction. I have to set it up better.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing?
Very good, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Greg?
This week, I wanted to talk a little bit about, you think about when we finish meditation class, right? And anybody watching the recordings, this isn't something you see because we stopped the recording, but to come out of meditation, to finish, you guys, I always say, take a deep breath and, maintain the feeling, maintain the center. And this is an important thing because all our practice, from sitting meditation to qigong to fast, the martial stuff, all of it done right is a moving meditation. And then some would argue, well, that's not meditation. Well, I'm gonna argue the other way, saying, yeah, it is when it's done right. So when I say to take that breath, I want you to feel what you feel. So tonight I want to really focus on centering. What is it? What are we looking for? What kind of habit do we have? Like, what's our habitual state of mind and feeling in the body? And can we change it? Because in addition to the martial arts, I've been practicing the Chinese medicine for decades, and I keep coming across the same issues with people over and over and over. We live in a very stressful society, and things only have gotten worse over the last year and a half. But the question is, what are your patterns? What are your normal ways of how you think and feel? And for so many people, the answer is stressed. The answer is under-rested, overworked, too busy, going. A human doing instead of a human being. In our practice, so many people come to martial arts thinking, oh, it's all about self-defense. Yeah, okay. Self-defense, awareness, right? First, know your surroundings. But that also is paying attention. If you have the habit of centering, the same thing works to defend yourself. Now, of course, stepping up to the physical part is the next level. But I'm talking avoiding the physical part. How many times have I said, we don't teach people how to fight, we teach them how not to fight? The real battle is within us. So we have to stop the fight with ourselves first. Because if we are unsettled and driven by ego, the odds of having conflict in your day-to-day life go up exponentially. If we're talking about a stranger attacking you, well, they choose the ones who are not paying attention. So centering is going to build awareness. Because centering is really just coming from the moment. It can be something like, in this moment, take a breath and feel the ground under your feet. Just for an example. And then notice what it does to your mind. So when we finish a class like this, after actually meditating, and I say, breathe deeply, take a deep breath and then exhale slowly. keep the feeling. Keep the feeling. Why do I say that? Because the more you know that feeling, the more you have that feeling is very familiar, the more you can I guess understand the meditative state, the easier it is to get there anytime and anywhere. And it is very possible, in fact, it's the goal, one of the goals, is to walk through your life, live your life in more of a meditation. So think about work. Would you be more productive if you were centered? Would you be less negatively impacted by those around you? Those who are stressed, those who are pushing, those who are on your case, the people who just rub you the wrong way, would they bother you the same, do you think? Do you blame the world around you for how you feel and what you're experiencing? Because I could say the world's gone crazy, but I'm okay. Can you say that? I know you can. I'm not special, but that's the point. It's practice. If you practice centering, you can center yourself quickly. So let's say somebody knocks you off emotionally at work. Take a breath. Feel the ground under your feet. When you take the breath, feel. Okay, so we teach breathing exercises, cleansing, filling, right? So if you've practiced, then that also develops a feeling. And the capacity of the lungs is more, it's bigger, but more, it feels more open, more looser. So when you breathe, you will naturally go deeper, right? So maybe a little bit bigger breath where it moves your belly. And then as you exhale, feel what happens. You know, the exhale a little slower than the inhale. Just like when you're practicing breathing exercises, but in the moment I'm talking about now, just feel it settle. It's a lot like putting water on a fire. Fire comes down. Because what's happening when you let others, your situation, a busyness at work, others at work, managers, whatever, you know, your boss getting on you if you're a manager because of how you're managing, whatever, you're going to have your best response if you center. You take a breath and you center. And if you can make that a habit, meaning you feel the fire rising and you take a breath and bring it down, and then you deal with whatever the situation is. So today in my clinic, it was interesting because I had one woman who's been with me for a little bit, older woman who, pretty stressed person, seems like one of those power manager types. And of course she comes here, she's nice, she gets treated, she feels great. But a young woman came in that she referred that works with her. And just the topic about her came up a little bit, and the young woman called her a, what did she say, like a firecracker or something. I guess she's real tough at work. I was like, yeah, I get it. And what it does is it just confirms what I sense in her, even though she's smiling and happy and pleasant and et cetera, et cetera. There's that sense of how she lives her life, and then how much she brings that home with her at work. And work comes home with her. So that stress is there. I mean, how many people come home and drink a bottle of wine, right? Just dealing with the world around them. because they don't really have that ability to control their own selves, their bodies, their ability to relax, the ability to control your thoughts. So I think of something like that, and that's why the importance of being able to get out of that state. And so if she's some sort of a firecracker or a, just intense at work. So when I had a little conversation to her about it, or with her about it, I always talk to my patients about breathing. I actually take my finger and put it on the dantian, about 1.5 inches below the navel. And I put a little pressure there and I say, breathe in through your nose and try to push my finger up. And a lot of times, right away it's coming to the chest. I said, no, not your chest, come to your belly. And anybody can do that. You put your fingers together and push into your lower abdomen and try to move that with your breathing, as if you're breathing into the belly. You're not breathing into your belly, right? You're breathing into your lungs, but the lower part of the lungs pushing down through the diaphragm expands the dantian, expands the lower abdomen. And so our ability to expand our lungs and increase our vital capacity and have much more efficient and effective respiration involves getting down to the lower part. It's been measured 5-6 times the volume. It's a huge difference. So teaching someone how to just get the breath there already starts to bring it down. And so we talk about practicing lying in bed. We talk about practicing online at the bank. We talk about just anytime you can remember, breathe through the nose to your belly. So you start to develop this habit. And then I understand you're a manager and you have to have the intensity and your authority, et cetera, et cetera. I says, you can live with a lot of energy and fire in your belly, but you've got to be able to calm yourself so that way is not making you sick. You can't carry it with you. You have to learn, if you want to live a better life and be healthier and happier, you have to learn how to separate the game from the inner world. Play the game hard, try hard, yell if you have to, but come back with a smile inside. You're just doing your job. And if something doesn't go your way, ask, can I control that? If I can do something about it, do something about it. If I can't do something about it, I have to just let it go. Take a breath, move forward. And so, in my experience, the habit and consistency of centering allows you to come from a better place in playing the game of life. The game of life has many roles. You want to be no different than an actor. What's your job at work? That's a role you play. That's a part you're playing in that role, in that movie, in that, play. You play the manager, or you play the employee, or whatever that part is. You play that part as best you can, and then you leave it there when you go. Play is over, at least for the day. What's another role? You're at home. Maybe you have a spouse, you have children, you may be dealing with older parents. Your life, whatever that is. And so, what's that role and how are you playing it? Are you a good actor or not so good actor? And I don't mean an actor like pretend. I mean, play the part convincingly to the best of your ability and don't get so caught up in it. Because when you're caught up in these things, simply put, you're not your best self. And frankly, you're hurting yourself every day you do that. If you're consistently going against yourself, in other words, doing things that you know are wrong, and I don't even mean illegal, it's just you don't believe in it, you don't enjoy it, you don't condone it, whatever it is, you need to find ways out of that so that you're more comfortable inside with your day-to-day, what you're doing. Sometimes a father can just be stern because the father has to never cry and be disciplined and be this and be that, something maybe your father taught you. And you don't really agree with it, but you think you got to play that part. But why don't you agree with it? Are you going against the grain, and are you doing more harm than good? Standing up for something that you may think is the right way because of someone programming you, again, your own father when you're growing up. So then inside, you're in turmoil, not, let's say, giving the child the attention that they need or deserve, or to feel your love, because you think the father has to be so stern. And I'm a big believer in tough love, so I'm not saying necessarily being weak and not disciplined, but what's the right way? Are you being sincere? Because this all causes stress too. Do you lash out? I mean, there's people, obviously, they drink or abuse at home. How's that going for you? Obviously, nobody here I'm talking to specifically. It's a concept. It's a principle. When you're centered, you're going to be more compassionate. You're going to be more empathic. You're going to understand where the other person's coming from. And you can honestly and clearly not just relate, but acknowledge the results of what you're doing. So there's people who stay their course because they think this is the way they got to be, because they don't know any better and they don't ever research or learn any better way. They just do it, and they don't realize the results they're getting are not good, maybe with their spouse or their children. So your ability to go inside and calm things and center yourself allows you to better see that. Oh, my child's not really doing very well in school. Why is that? And you don't realize it's because they feel like they can never satisfy daddy. How often do you actually praise your child? How about a friend? How much is your friend the one gets leaned on, and how much are you the one gets leaned on? And how much do you really understand your friend, or is it just someone you can shoot the breeze with? Do you really listen, or do you just talk? If you pay attention to the world around you, many times you'll see two people talking and neither one of them are listening. Is that you? It's just two people with busy minds. It's funny when you pay attention. And then you look in the mirror. Do I do that? If you're not calmer, centered, coming from your true self, you can't judge. Too much bias, too much what I'm supposed to be. The same kind of thing came up today in a political type. Somebody who was very much one-sided, and everybody on the other side is stupid. And so I make it very clear, coming from the center, no bias. Look what's happening here. Your side thinks the other side's stupid, and the other side thinks you're stupid. Who's right? Well, we're right, of course. Why do you think they're stupid? Maybe you've been manipulated. Both sides have been manipulated to fight each other instead of loving each other and figuring out the best way, more as a team, as a unifying factor as opposed to division, divided factor. So none of that is by accident, people. None of it is by accident. Everybody against everybody. Put them in a group and get them against somebody else. It sometimes amazes me when, for those who don't see it, propaganda, manipulation, and mind control. You have to know yourself, and then you can recognize better what's going on. I learned a long time ago, all the way back in college, a teacher said, know that everyone is doing the best they know how. Everyone is doing the best they know how. Even the people that you think are the dumbest or the strangest or the worst, terrorist, whatever, that person believes what they're doing is right somehow. They don't have to be right, but they believe they are. And so we have to come from a place of compassion and understand that they think the way they do for a reason, and maybe a lot of it's right that we don't understand. You can't possibly do that with compassion if you're not centered yourself. You never can look at someone else as in a sincere sense, put on their shoes. Walk in their shoes, at least in your mind. And then you might see the world differently. If you can't center, the ego runs you. And then it's us against them always. And you don't think the powers that be who have control of all the messages you hear every day don't know this? How to create division? Most people are too divided within to possibly ever unify with their neighbor and people who don't agree with them. It's it's gotten very strong these days, so it's very hard, but you have to have the heart, even if you know they're wrong. You have to listen out, hear them out, but maybe throw seeds towards alternative information, at least. And what's alternative information? If you're always listening to the one source, that's it. That's what you get. And if that one source is keeping out the second and the third, well, what about the second and the third? If you heard the second and the third, would you think differently? And there could be a fourth and a fifth that you're completely unaware of. So here's your news source. They hate this one. Then they hate this one. And you don't even know these other ones exist. So how valid is your opinion really? You need to understand that for yourself, and then you have to accept that's what's going on for others. And there's plenty of people who suddenly get exposed to something they've never been exposed to, and they start to change. They start to realize, I didn't know that. And so we have to have compassion. This is why it is so important to work on ourselves first. To work on ourselves and admit our biases, admit our shortcomings, and keep trying to work on them. Try to see the world from others, from the position of others, walk in the shoes of others. And without cleaning ourselves, we can't really do that. We can't, because there's too much judgment, too much labeling, too much putting down, saying they're stupid. Is it stupid if the only information you have is this one, is that stupid? No, it's manipulated. The question is, can you recognize manipulation? I think you can better if you calm down and you center yourself and you practice regularly the breathing and you don't take a position on things all the time. And you listen to multiple opposing perspectives if you really want to know. Because if you're only getting one or two, I'm sorry, you don't know. And as long as you're calling other people stupid, you don't understand human nature. Because everybody's doing the best they know how. And that phrase itself really changes things. At least it did in my opinion. I started looking at everybody differently. It's like, yeah, they believe what they're doing is true and real. You know, right down to learning how to eat right. And then they're used to always eating convenient foods and fast foods, you know, things that don't take much time and just taste the way they want it to taste. And they don't think about food that way. And then people who are so concerned with eating right, they're like health nuts, you know, they're kooks. Is that person stupid? You know, I can honestly say they're damaging themselves eating that way. I mean, I've seen it repeatedly. But getting someone to change, see, if they actually were exposed to ways to, you know, better ways to where they buy their food, how to prepare their food, and they actually, you know, how do we get there? You have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. So those are the people who make that decision to shift from convenience to what's best for me. And then, like anything, it becomes second nature. You just where you get your food and how you prepare it, and that's it. But there's a price to pay or a learning curve in anything, really. If you think you understand politics, you're lying to yourself. If you don't have multiple sources to hear what they're all saying before you judge. You know, if you think you know food, well, how much have you paid attention? Have you actually, what I mean by pay attention is to the effect on your body. How do you know what's best for you? Have you actually experimented, or is it just based on what you like in your mouth? What tastes good to you? I've heard many times people say, like, oh, you like this or you like this. And you know what? I learned to enjoy what is good for my body. Now, that's not to say I don't have my pizza on occasion or a beer or something that's not good. And it's not, even an occasion. It's not good, but I make that choice to enjoy for the moment. But 80, 90% of the time, I'm eating no different than filling my car with gas. So my body and my mind work optimally because I can't afford to work to feel like crap doing what I do on a daily basis. And I can honestly say I can go from early morning to late at night, and I'm fine. So, and then I watch patients and those who follow what they need to do, because I always tell them we're a team. You have to do your part. Those who follow, amazing results in no time. And those who struggle and they have their habits, they're too locked into their habits, they don't change as much. Sure, they come in for a treatment. I can get them out of pain very quickly, and the herbs, you know, they can treat it. But it's kind of like, you know, you're going to help me pay my bills for maybe the rest of your life, because you can't graduate if you don't change. Whatever got you to where you are now, that has a destiny. And if you don't like where you are, the destiny is only going to be worse. Could be a nursing home in that street, at the end of that street. You need to turn, change another street, another direction. And if you're unwilling to do that, then you get what you get. And, even expenses, you want to keep paying for some treatment, you have that option. But I prefer to fix people and meet many new people, right? I always tell people, you get out, you get done, you go on, live your life because you learn how to live the right way, the healthy way, what makes you feel best. And just send me other people because you believe in it, it works. But if you're going to rely on, and I'm sure the doctor in the house can understand this, it's like the people want to do what they want to do and they want you to fix them. Those are not good patients. They're good customers. Think about that. I don't do what I do because of business. Business is second. Yes, we have to make a living, but that's second. Because when you spend your time making your income on something you don't enjoy, or you don't feel you're contributing, or you don't believe in, I don't know how that works. I was able to get out of that. I mean, I never really had a full-time job, actually, all the way back, right? So, every day becomes a gift, and you can make some difference, even in maybe one life. And that's not saying anyone has to do what I do. You have to do what you do better. If you're working in a company, and you appreciate the income you're getting, that's your career. Well, how are you with your peers? How are you with your work? How well do you do? So this brings me back to centering. Because if you know how to not be so affected by the world around you, and you come from your center, and you're your best you out there, well, you're going to be better with other people you work with. You're going to be better with your spouse, with your children. You're just going to be better because you have energy. You're not so stressed. You actually have a more positive, optimistic outlook. You have energy. You're not exhausted at the end of the day, and you don't need to drown everything out with alcohol to try to escape, because you don't want to escape. You want to experience more because you see the world in a more positive light. I mean, how often do you just sit down and look at a tree? Look at the green, how the light shines through the green. It makes all these different shades. And just see a little sparkle. Or look at the sky and just notice the color today. Like today, when I was driving to my clinic, I just stopped at the traffic light. And I was a little bit behind schedule. So hitting the red light, you know how we get, oh, I gotta hit the red light. No, I stopped at the light and I looked up at the sky and I said, oh my goodness, it is the most perfect blue sky today. Yeah, today was like a perfect day weather-wise here. And it's moments like that that may help us maintain our center. And don't get caught up in all this BS that we get caught up in, that it just starts our day wrong and keeps it going wrong and then ends it wrong. It's no way to live. If you learn how to practice in a way that everything we do is a meditation, then your life ends up being lived more like that too, because it's a habit. To live more in that sort of mind, to be more in the moment, more sensitive to how you feel, not letting yourself spiral up or spiral down, right? Spiral down can be frustration and depression. Spiral up can be the stress and the fire coming up, maybe headaches, high blood pressure. Who wants that? I'll tell you how powerful the breathing exercises are if you commit to this. One of the most common ailments is high blood pressure. I can put a blood pressure cuff on and I can keep taking my blood pressure. And let's say the first one, just for example, is 130/90. It's not, I don't have high blood pressure, but let's just say 130/90. Then I take it again, it's 120/80. Then I take it again, it's 110/70. I can keep lowering it by tens just by controlling my breath. And I'm not special. I've just practiced a lot. What we do works, but you have to work it. And what I've gotten from this art that we practice and we teach, there is no price to put on it. And if I ever did add up what I've spent to learn it, hundreds of thousands, I don't have no idea. Because I don't have much because I put everything into that education. Even traveling to spend time with the best people I could find in the world. And there's a reason why they're considered the best, because they give you things others don't. And so my goal as a teacher, well, let me put it this way. I was 17 years old, training about 6 months, and this art flipped my life on its head and completely had me seeing the world differently, because I also got very involved in the philosophy. And within 6 months, I already knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. As a 17, 18 at the time, probably after 6 months, 18-year-old kid, early 18-year-old kid, I knew I wanted to do that for the rest of my life. And I said, in 10 years, I'm going to have my own school. Train my butt off consistently, never let anything get in the way, not work, not relationship, nothing. Training came first. In the 10th year, I got a call. Somebody wanted me to teach chronic fatigue. They found me a school. That's how we started in Bergenfield. It's crazy how the world works. When you are clear and you set your mind towards something, you'll be shocked how opportunities present themselves. Could be time, could be place, meeting the right person. You have no idea what's going to happen. That's how it went in my case. And never did I veer off of wanting, why did I make that goal? Because what I experienced, flipping my life on its head, I wanted as many people as possible to experience. I completely saw the world differently. And it was in such a different, positive way. It was a more unifying way. It was literally with more love and appreciation for all people. And I wanted that for as many people as possible. So that never changed from the beginning all the way through. I continue to accumulate and practice, accumulate knowledge and practice to digest it, so I understand it, so I can help where the help is needed. And I literally was just having a quick meal with my wife and talking about that, how grateful I am for the people I was able to train with, so that even here now with patients, no matter their situation, I've learned to help them figure out a remedy for why they have the problems they have. Yes, I do the acupuncture. Yes, I give the herbs special to their body. I teach them how to eat properly. But sometimes someone has something that they just keep aggravating, and it's like, we have to figure out what is it they're doing to keep aggravating. Why? How did you get to this place? How do you have this shoulder problem or this back problem? Because no matter how much I fix it, it will come back if we don't correct the cause. And if it's a movement problem, well, the martial arts, I've learned proper body mechanics, proper structure. So it's applied every day. How to properly use your arm so you don't hurt your shoulder, how to properly use your body so you don't keep hurting your back, how to bend down, how to squat down. It's all part of what you're learning, what we're teaching, if it's training right. So I spared no expense. I just did what needed to be done, and I have no regret. No retirement, no nothing. I don't care, because I never said I'd retire. I'll be doing this until I can't do it anymore, period. The greatest lesson is to be able to center. And then from there, everything can be better. You'll deal with it in a better, with more clarity. And if you can't figure it out right away, you can use that center it's almost like asking the universe sometimes, just, how can I help this one or that one or myself or my daughter? What do they need now? And you listen. If you quiet yourself, you can listen. And I'm going to end with a great quote I learned years ago. I don't know if quote is just a concept, really. And what's the difference between meditation and prayer? With prayer, you're talking to God. Meditation, God talks to you. Let's go to meditation.